Mm-hmm. Welcome to the Armstrong and Getty Show.
Talking about how, test scores came out last week, I guess,
Pathetic.
and America sucked.
The United States was pathetic.
Right.
Bunch of mouth-breathing droolers.
And China's doing great in the math and the science and stuff like that. And they're pointing out here, this is actually from the Christian Science Monitor, the differences in Chinese culture in classrooms, re-education. And as always, it's a priority. So people do better because their families consider it important. That's one of the major things. Also, there are some differences in classrooms. They noticed that the Chinese kids were paying much closer attention. Typically, in a Shanghai classroom, students are fully occupied, fully engaged. Non-attentive students are not tolerated. But this is interesting. The differences in instructional techniques play a big role. Chinese teachers tend to spend a long time giving instructions in the beginning, while American teachers gave cursory instructions, then corrected students as the lesson continued. American students' attention wandered when they became confused. Another difference, particularly in math instruction, stood out to both of the scientists we were talking about from UCLA and McGill University in Montreal. The U.S. teaches procedurally in math, they noted, repetition of the same procedures until a student can remember reflexively how to solve a particular type of math problem. In China, students are encouraged to understand the connections between each step of the problem so that they can think their way through them even if the order is forgotten. In the U.S., we do things over and over again until they sink in. You really don't know something until you can explain why you do this, why you don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Has teaching changed that much from a time when we felt like our population was getting a good education?
Well, I think that's probably, that may or may not be true.
Or have the people changed?
Well, right, exactly. Chinese families value education above virtually everything else.
Well, you know why?
They work very hard, and the kids believe working hard is how you're successful. Hello! China, at least in this aspect, is much more American than America is at this point.
If little Wang gets kicked out of school because he doesn't pay attention...
Kids and their cruel nicknames. We're taking your calls. Bullying in schools. Little Wang?
If Little Wang... Not Little Wayne.
At that age, they all have... What?
Not Little Wayne. Little Wang. If Little Wang gets kicked out of school for not paying attention, he goes home, and his dad says, oh, great. Well, now you're going to starve.
Right.
Because there's no safety net. You got to go to school and you got to figure out a way to do something in the world or you're going to starve to death.
Wow. The United States of America has the big socialist safety net for slackers that commies don't. I'll be damned. It's Deb in Citrus Heights. Hello, Deb. What's your opinion on all this?
Well, actually, I've been to China a few times and talked to some of the parents there, and what I found was really fascinating is
do you speak Chinese, or did they speak English?
No, they speak English.
Interesting.
But what was interesting is, in China, they can only have one child, so the pressure for the children to perform really well is so incredibly intense. Their parents put them in tons of activities, totally focus on them. They feel that if they don't do well, their parents are going to be dishonored. And the pressure is incredible.
They're right.
Yeah.
It's very, very strong. In fact, some of the parents that we talk to, their motivation is to get their kids into a good college. And if their kids don't get into a good college, or even if they do and the parents can't afford to pay, sometimes the parents will commit suicide.
That's healthy. That's good. All right. Now
that's
listen,
a motivator.
Now, Deb, I will absolutely willingly concede that that's an extreme situation. But the greater point is, and you see this all over the place, there are 100 different examples of it, and they're all good. Culture matters tremendously in terms of achievement and success. Quit blaming other people. Why do the Asians do so great? Because they value education. What's that?
It's honor.
Well, right.
They want to honor their parents. And so their parents dedicate everything to this one child that they have. And they'll do anything.
I was trying to make a greater point, and you're back in China.
Yeah. Yep.
Take it easy, Deb. Take it easy. All right, thanks for the call. But, you see some cultures, huge value on achievement, learning, reading. Some not. You want your answer?
How do you think? Here's another. Been very popular lately to discuss why China has got a better system than we do for a lot of things. Long term, it's a horrible idea. The whole dictatorship thing.
Oh, yeah.
But for instance, they've got this. It was announced over the weekend, this multi-quintillion-dollar infrastructure buildup thing that they're starting. Because they just decide, this is what we need to do to take that next step in becoming a giant worldwide economic powerhouse. So we're just going to do it.
Right.
So that's the way they do things. But anyway, in terms of the school situation, if millions of people came into China from another land that didn't speak Chinese, you think the Chinese would think, you know what? We need to, at the risk of not educating our own children, get multilingual teachers into all of these schools and bring the other kids up to speed, even while our Chinese kids sit around twiddling their thumbs because they already speak Chinese.
No, they would never do that. That would be insane. Only the
insane.
Stupidest, most self-delusional society would do that.
It would be insane.
Because it'd be suicidal. Thanks for making a point.
You think they hand out fortune cookies in class in China? Like after every period or at the end of the day, and you read your little fortune?
Like after they have sweet and sour pork for lunch.
Right. I assume
I
assume at lunch they eat sweet and sour pork.
Right.
During recess,
and what's for dessert?
Chinese fire drills.
And Chinese checkers.
If it's rainy outside, they play Chinese checkers.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, they open fortune cookies. I just assume that's what's going on.
That's my guess. Sure. I got a good fortune cookie the other night. Judy's out of town, so the nation's fast food industries have enjoyed a boom weekend as we, boy, I'm lazy. I got a great fortune, though. It said, your investment will return great financial rewards.
Okay. And so what did you do with that information?
I plan on being very wealthy soon.
Okay. So says the cookie.
What was Caitlin's fortune was something like, you are kind, sometimes to a fault. And as Declan said, that's not a fortune, that's a diagnosis. Give me a fortune.
They often are.
Yeah.
Diagnosis. I don't need that. I don't need that from you, Cookie. You are listening to the Armstrong and Getty Show.
I think some people are ahead of us.
It says the Armstrong and Getty Show. I'm Jack Armstrong. He's Joe Getty.
Hello, welcome. Good morning.
We're talking about China and how they do education over there. Did you see the story in 60 Minutes last night about Brazil?
No, I did not get to that one.
Oh, you absolutely have to watch that. Incredible.
Now, I've been ranting about Brazil for quite some time. You've mocked me. You've belittled me. This is an astounding turnaround.
I don't think I listened. But now that I've heard it on 60 Minutes, I believe it.
So it wasn't specific mockery and abuse. It was just kind of...
No, it wasn't.
Automatic, just kind of, your go-to. You're just...
I don't want to be the sort of person that's so quick to say, the United States is no longer going to be the most powerful nation on earth. And
these things ebb and flow, sure.
Hello, China, India, and Brazil. But it's going to be China, India, and Brazil.
Yeah.
And... It's like glimpsing at what we used to be with these countries.
It is.
When it was all about being successful, getting ahead, and not about creating the most perfect place on earth where everything is the most fair it can possibly be for everyone.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a question of, are you an up-and-comer? Or are you the fat and comfortable one?
I didn't realize that Brazil was bigger than the United States.
Geographically?
Yeah, size-wise.
I told you that. I know it's huge, but...
I didn't know it was that huge.
Look at a map!
It's not including Alaska and Hawaii. Not that Hawaii mattered. But the continental U.S. Brazil's bigger than the continental U.S.
Oh, come on.
I didn't know
What
that.
do you mean not including Alaska? Hawaii, please. It's the size of like a medium-sized grocery store. But Alaska, that's ours, baby.
They are the United States 100 years ago. They've got all the natural resources. They've got the population. They've got everything they need to just take off and trounce the world.
They've got mind-boggling poverty and crime there, too. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? What you going to do?
Forget about it.
But none of that's going to make any difference when we're a second-tier economic power. The fact that gays in China don't get to participate in whatever, or whatever, that it's not always fair, is not going to make any difference when we're getting our ass kicked around the world. You see what I mean? Does that make any sense to anybody or not?
Economic power is very significant to me. military power is extremely important.
Well, right, but
because I'd rather not be, being frog marched by some Chinese soldier into some camp.
Here's another interesting thing Brazil has done or not done. So while they're building an economic superpower, they will soon move into fourth place on the list of biggest economies in the world, passing all your European countries. Rumsfeld was right about old Europe and got mocked for it. All these countries that people still talk about it because you read about them in history in 8th grade.
But they're completely irrelevant.
They are irrelevant. Yeah. Spain, France, nobody cares anymore.
Right.
Brazil doesn't fight wars. Hey, you all want to fight wars? Do whatever you want. They haven't been involved in a war since 1850 or something like that.
Except the war against hairy genitals. They've been fighting that with the most extreme measures. I'm sorry, you were making an excellent point a moment ago. What was it? They don't get involved in global conflict.
Right. Unless they have to, and they haven't had to, so they haven't.
Wow, beware foreign entanglements. We got them. They don't.
And how?
Although, again, one of the main reasons Brazil doesn't have to get into foreign entanglements, because we do.
Right.
We are the great builder of economic highways, builder and maintainer of economic highways. Where there is war and strife, well, unless you're making tanks, there can be no business done. So we keep the world pacified so we can do business. And they benefit. Portuguese-speaking bastards.